Thank you.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to be very clear that I stand to oppose these regulations in the report by the committee recommending that we support them. Senator Mofaya knows that I have a lot of respect for him, but I have reasons, Honorable Speaker, why I think that should be the position. I speak as a stakeholder here. I pay over 30,000 shillings every single month, an involuntary deduction that I opposed with all my strength, Honorable Speaker, but was overruled. And therefore, this fund already has my money. Number two, Nairobi City County is perhaps the scene of the largest such construction of the so-called affordable houses. And our people are actually the most affected, Honorable Speaker. The basis of my objection to the recommendation of the committee is twofold. Firstly, it's procedural matters, Honorable Speaker. There is a reason Secretary shall. Outside of that time, I am not convinced by the explanation that has been given by the committee. It was his responsibility. It is dereliction of duty. This is one of the most prominent projects of this administration. There is no way you can tell me that the Ministry of Housing would miss that deadline. I am not convinced, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee also accepts that in violation of the law, the law requires that the Cabinet Secretary shall submit published regulations. In fact, the regulations that were sent to Parliament were draft regulations. Now, the committee led by Mofaya is telling me, a lawyer who knows the meaning of the word shall and its implications, to ignore the fact that the Cabinet Secretary sent to Parliament draft regulations. It is unacceptable, Honorable Speaker, from where I stand. Honorable Speaker, we are required to approve or reject these regulations within 15 sitting days. The committee there has noted in their own report that those days were to expire on 11th of September. You should have at least struggled or tried to explain to the House whether it was because of the amendment of the calendar that was moved by the majority leader during the impeachment. At the very minimum, please, Senator Gataya, explain to us, because according to my calendar, unless the committee has a different one, today is way past the 11th of September. And, Madam Speaker, that is significant for one reason. The law states that if we don't reject within that period, these things stand approved. So I'm standing here wondering, am I, once again, Majority Leader, engaging myself in an exercise in futility? And that would be an egregious violation of my constitutional responsibility to go through these regulations for the sake of the people who elected me. Honorable Speaker, one of the final things, procedural ones that I thought I would bring up, there was something else. I think I'll see it, yes. Honorable Speaker, when a law says that when you're passing or bringing legislation or regulations, you publish them in a newspaper of nationwide circulation, it means exactly that. A newspaper of nationwide circulation. Now, everybody knows what the word newspaper means. Everybody knows what wide circulation means. It cannot be stuck somewhere in there in a government supplement or releases from the ministries. Honorable Speaker, the ministry has told us that instead of putting this advertisement in a newspaper such as the Daily Nation, which everybody knows in this country is a newspaper of wide circulation, or the Standard, or both. In fact, the practice I have seen is that when it comes to serious legislation, you put them in both of those newspapers. What they have done, Honorable Speaker, is to circulate this thing in a publication that I personally never read because I consider it illegal and unconstitutional, an affront to the freedom of media. They call it MyGov. Honorable Speaker, if you consider the history of that publication called MyGov, it was out of a desire to punish media houses that were not playing the tune that some of these friends of ours these days sing in public barazas and markets. It was to deny revenue, government revenue to the mainstream newspapers as a way of making them bend to the will of government. Honorable Speaker, that was the invention of this thing called MyGov. It is tucked in the Tuesday edition of the Star. The Tuesday edition of the Star. I can assure you, my mother did not see that publication. And she's a mother of a very well-learned senator. Down there in the village in Kitinda, she didn't see it. But I am sure she read the Tuesday edition of the Daily Nation that day. So the explanation that is given, Honorable Speaker, is that there was a directive of government that government advertisements be carried in this publication. The question I'm asking myself, Honorable Mwenda Gataya, can a directive of government, which is basically what these things, what do they call them? I see them issued from State House from time to time. It's executive fiat. Can it override a requirement of the law for you to publish these regulations or the law in newspapers of nationwide circulation? And my answer to that is no. Madam Speaker, I am done with the procedural problems that I have with this particular report and with these regulations. Let's go to the substance, the actual provisions. So, according to the report of the committee, these particular regulations are the ones that are supposed to operationalize the Affordable Housing Act. It is supposed to provide for a procedure and criteria for allocation. Now, if you read the regulations, the Act itself has a board. They have said that the procedure for allocation of these particular affordable houses is you must make an electronic application to the board. The criteria is set there. So some of the issues that were being raised by Senator Khalwale, if indeed we put in place in a law a board to be able to be the ones to determine who gets these units of housing, how can anyone else, it doesn't matter their position in the structure of government, be the one allocating houses? And I speak painfully because this is my money. And the initial argument, Honorable Speaker, was that those of us who make an income contributing to this fund so that the people on the lower echelons of society in Mukuru can be able to afford these houses. Are we still serving those people, or these affordable houses paid for by my money very painfully, Honorable Speaker, are available for donations because of someone sitting in the office of head of state? He can decide today that Faith Kipyegon deserves a 2-bedroom house. Faith Kipyegon, for all her glory, surely, you know, she cannot be described as a poor person. She doesn't live in Mukuru. She doesn't live in Mukuru. Why would we pass a law? Why couldn't we just say, this fund is now going to be run from State House, and he will decide and determine who gets these affordable houses at whim? Secondly, Honorable Speaker, they have provided for a requirement for a deposit of 5% of the unit price. I have a problem, and the people of Mukuru, the people of Mathare, the people of Kibra in Nairobi have told us, because in Nairobi, as a county government, we are also undertaking affordable housing schemes, and because of the intervention of this Senate, and especially the Senate Housing Committee, we have made sure that there is no requirement for a deposit when you get a unit of an affordable house under the Nairobi County government. Because we know our people, Senator Khalwale, they cannot afford 5% of, I don't know what is the cost of a 2-bedroom house in the new Mukuru. Honorable Speaker, they cannot afford. No wonder many of them, even after getting into those houses, are selling those houses, are renting them out and going back to the slum. They are going back to the slum. Madam Speaker, that requirement of a deposit does not make sense to me, because we have already contributed amounts. I think I've been contributing for over a year now. Can my money be used as deposit for the people of Mukuru? I am never going to apply for those houses. They were not meant for people like me. I have a parliamentary scheme here. I have a house. Honorable Speaker, this one, on behalf of the people of Nairobi, I have to say no. Then they go and create something called deposit assistance, which basically is to tell you that they will give you a loan to get the deposit. They will give you a loan to get the deposit. Senator Gataya, if, for instance, people who have been contributing and actually wanted, a teacher in Buruburu wanted to apply for this house, They have already been paying. They have already been paying. Why are you asking them for a deposit? Then you go and give them a loan. And they have structured, Honorable Speaker, interest bands that depending on how much money you earn. I have a big problem there. Because, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the report of the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, there are only 387,000 Kenyans as of 2023 who earn over 100,000 shillings. And this figure is critical, Honorable Speaker, for various reasons. You will see there that in these regulations, there are 3 categories of houses. Social housing, which is for people who earn less than 20,000 shillings per month. Then there's something they are calling affordable housing, for people who earn between 20 and 140,000 shillings per month. Then there's this thing called affordable middle income housing, for people who earn over 150,000 Kenya shillings. Out of a population of 55 million people, only 387 as of 2023 earn above 100,000 shillings. You are telling us you are reeling off 200 units per year. Who are you building these houses for? Who are these people you're building these houses for? If you did, of course, they have never even scratched the surface on that promise of 200,000 annually. But, Honorable Speaker, if they build those 200,000 houses in 1 year, and another financial year they build 200,000 so that we have a total of 400,000, the people who would be able to afford those houses would already be exhausted because the number is at 387,000 people only who can afford these houses. We have problems. We have problems with this.
Senator Sifuna, can you be informed?
No, I am teaching. Honorable Speaker, I'm in the middle of imparting information. Please don't.
Okay, proceed.
What do you want to inform me? You will have your own opportunity to be able to do this. Honorable Speaker, please, I don't like to be interrupted. This is what they do. Now, Honorable Speaker, there is another provision that I have a problem with, and that if you apply to the board.
What's your point of order, Senator Mopai?
Madam Speaker, you know for a fact there is no point of order. It's one of those frivolous attempts to derail debate. Let him
raise the point of order.
Madam Speaker, I want Senator Sifuna to withdraw and apologize. Though the much I know about this house is a house of registrators. This house of debate. I have not captured any student in the front of this house, so nobody is being taught. So I, as much as I have a lot of respect for Senator Sifuna is debating just like any other registrar in the house. Also, I don't think whether there is any student in this house to be taught.
Senator Sifuna.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I'll proceed to make the point that I was making. My next point about the deposit, Honorable Speaker, the provisions of the regulations are that if you pay that deposit, for instance, and your application is rejected by the board, do you know the regulations say that they don't give you back your money? They take it into something that they are calling a voluntary savings account. I was not giving the deposit so that I save money. I wanted a house. So if you are unable to allocate this unit to me, give me back my money. I can go and do other things with it. Regulation number on interest, Honorable Speaker, they have set interest on that loan that I talk about between 9% and 3%. Now, let us come to the regulation on consent to sell. Consent to sell. That, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, if you buy this unit and you run into financial ruin, for instance, you are unable to keep up with the payments and you want to sell it, you have to ask for permission to sell the unit. You have to ask for permission from this same board. And, Honorable Speaker, the problem there is that if it is tied to another regulation on default, if you default for 2 consecutive months, the board takes back possession of that unit. That is what the regulations you want us to pass are saying. Honorable Speaker, as far as I know, as a student of law and somebody who understands the Constitution, you cannot interfere with property rights, my ability to own and dispose property, by frivolous regulations such as this. If I run into financial ruin, now, for instance, Honorable Speaker, a member of the family is diagnosed with a serious disease like cancer, we are all raising money. I have a unit sitting here, and we need money. You are telling me I need to go to somebody else to get consent to sell that house because of extraneous circumstances. And by the way, these regulations also provide that all decisions of this board, you have to, again, ask for what they call review from the same board. And that provision on review of the decisions of the board also goes ahead to specify the only grounds you can raise a point of review with the board. What sort of regime is that? What sort of regime is that? So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I want to submit that this particular provision on consent to sell a unit is unconstitutional. And then they require that you can only apply for that consent to sell after 5 years of completion of payment. They also regulate the price. The regulations regulate the price that at that point when they have told you now you can sell, they have fixed a price for you that you can only sell that unit at prevailing market rates. If I am able to convince Halwale to pay 10 million on a unit that is the prevailing market rate is 5 million, you will tell me no. This violates the concept of willing buyer, willing seller. Perhaps Halwale likes this unit so much and there's enough demand on the unit, they are willing to pay more. How can you tell me that I cannot get more money if I am able to persuade Halwale, Senator Halwale, to pay more? So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I personally have big problems with this affordable housing scheme. I thought it was very poorly thought out. It is actually punitive on the small population of people who actually have a pay slip in this country. I was in Funyula with the Honorable Oundo in Busia County. In the middle of Busia, not even at the town, in the town, somewhere deep there in the rural areas. Yes. Yeah, I saw they are building 12 floors. And Honorable Speaker, the good thing is that you come from the same region as I do. Where I come from, Honorable Speaker, if your chicken cannot get into that place, you also cannot get in there and sleep there. Because there is no chicken that lives on 12th floor. And this is, we live with chicken, you know, for us. They are considered family. So I was looking at those units in Funyula. I was wondering, who are these people? Who are the people who are targeted to stay in these units? And maybe Senator from Busia, the Honorable K. Omtata, can shed light and tell us who are those units meant for. And when you speak to the people in that area, how they wish all that concrete was a hospital, how they wish all that concrete was a school, how they wish, Honorable Speaker, that concrete was something that they actually needed. Because the problem with this affordable housing scheme is that it does not prioritize our needs. The reason why somebody would be given a unit in Mukuru and go back to the slum is because the priority of that person is to eat. The priority of that person is education. The priority of that person is healthcare. But because this government knows why it prioritizes houses, they will tell you. They will tell you, Honorable Speaker, the people supplying material for that construction, the people supplying sand, the people supplying cement, they are more than happy to build those things. It doesn't matter whether people will ever own them or live with them, because they will already have been paid and they will disappear. That is all that this affordable housing is about. It's about making money for cronies of people in power.
30 seconds.
The reasons I oppose strongly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Majority Leader.
Dispatch, Chief. Oh, okay, it's coming. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to also make my contribution to this report by our Committee on Delegated Legislation. Madam Speaker, I begin a troubled man because I've never had so much misinformation, and perhaps I don't know whether that is a place to comment, but I'll lose my trail of thoughts if I comment there. Therefore, I want to first stick to the substance of the report that is before us. Then maybe later, if I get an opportunity, I will direct my colleagues to where to get the correct information about many of the things which they said, which is information that is publicly available if you were to seek the right information. But